set, march.
The final phase of the war in Missouri began when General Price, hoping to recapture control of the state and to take pressure off of Confederate forces back east, crossed into Missouri from Arkansas in September of '64. I was with him that fall as part of Joe Shelby's cavalry, the Iron Brigade they called us, but that's another story for another time. This campaign turned out to be the final Confederate offensive in our state. With more than 12,000 mounted men, Pap crossed the state line and headed for St. Louis. His first major objective was a federal garrison at Pilot Knob. Our boys made 3 charges against the earthen fort called Fort Davidson, but were met by withering fire from the roughly 1,000 Union troops. Many of the boys made it all the way to the moat surrounding the fort's walls, only to die there. A lot of good Southern men died that day in those futile charges. I think Pap made a mistake that day. The battle ended when the Federal forces quietly slipped out that night and blew up the fort and joined a stronger Union force in Rolla. Weakened by the losses at Pilot Knob, Pap abandoned hope of capturing St. Louis and marched toward Jefferson City, where we fought a one-day skirmish before deciding to leave the capital. With Union forces now in pursuit of our dwindling army, our troops fought battles at Boonville, Glasgow, and Lexington before reaching the decisive battlefield near Kansas City. Approaching from the east, our army pushed a Federal line of militia back, first from the Little Blue River, then from the Big Blue, to what was to become the last great battle of the war in Missouri. On Sunday, October 23, 1864, nearly 30,000 Union and Confederate troops clashed in the Battle of Westport. After several bloody stands by the Southern forces, the Yankees under General Curtis finally overwhelmed our troops and forced us into a disorganized retreat. The remnants of our army was pushed south along the Kansas-Missouri border into Arkansas, ending the last major Confederate action in Missouri. Citizens of few states suffered as severely as those of us here in Missouri during the Civil War. The conflict was fought in our streets and pastures, from the Iowa line to the Boot Hill swamps and the Ozark Hills. As I said earlier, more than 800 battles, engagements, and skirmishes occurred right here within our state, including the decisive Battle of Westport in October 1864, the largest battle west of the Mississippi. Most, however, were small affairs, bitterly contested raids and ambushes, with no quarter asked or given.
Up, comrades, up, the moon's in the west, and the hounds of old Pennock will find out our nest. We must be gone